Amir Khan has always been known as a great boxer, you know, offensively. You know, his weakness is defensively, and just having mental lapses and getting hit with certain types of punches. You know, not just punches, because we all get hit as fighters, but certain types of punches, like shots that again knock you out. Like give up a shot here and there, but let it be a grazing shot, or nothing flush. So that's gonna be his biggest thing, man, is just staying focused for the course of 12 rounds and executing the game plan. He started well with Canelo, couldn't sustain it. So that's going to be the same challenge for Terence Crawford. And for Crawford, he's got to continue to look sensational. He can't fall off. He can't let Amir come in and have the night of his life, because he's trying to continue to stake his claim as the best fighter in the world and keep looking to get those mega fights. And I know he's gunning for, Thurman, Spence, all the top guys. So he can't falter either. So someone says, it's an easy fight for Terence. No, it's a lot of pressure. Even if he looks bad, you're going to have all the naysayers come out the woodwork. So, see, I told you he wasn't all that. So he's got pressure from the standpoint of looking great and not faltering and not showing any weaknesses, or not a lot of weaknesses. And Amir has to, he's fighting for his, his boxing future, his boxing life. He cannot afford another bad loss.
Good fight. Good name. But it's a good fight. I think Crawford beats him easy.
Knockout.
Even though I know Khan, he's cool with me and everything, but in boxing, Crawford and Khan, different levels now.
Most definitely. So you respect Khan, like you just said, like he's cool, he's your friend,
cool,
but
he's gonna try to box. He's got fast hands, he's got experience. He could definitely still give a good fight, but I think Crawford beats him.
Like I've been telling people all week, Crawford doesn't impress me at 147. He was very impressive in the lower weight classes and things of that nature, but he's just, Jeff Horn doesn't go 5 rounds with Keith Thurman and Errol Spence. You know what I mean? And he went 8 with Crawford, Is that because he stayed southpaw the whole time? He never fought right-handed practically in the whole fight. When he switched right-handed for 30 seconds, he actually slapped him up pretty good. If I was his coach, I would tell him, next round, finish it just like that. Like, we're done, so I wonder if that's what he was doing, like if he was just playing, if he was just enjoying himself, right? Because like when I fought Bundu, the knockout was there. I could have had that guy, but what y'all don't understand is I trained really hard. I had a very unique training camp, and I got it in. I got the fight. I got to play. I got to enjoy myself while I'm working live on television while you're watching. And I just think that maybe as I'm like somewhat disrespecting Crawford because I think that's what he was doing, and if that's what he was doing, then that means he definitely had more to give. He could have painted his face up a lot better, a lot sooner, and a lot quicker, and I just kind of believe that. But yeah, he hasn't beaten a Sean Porter, he hasn't beaten a Danny Garcia, he hasn't beaten an Errol Spence, Keith Thurman, and to me, he hasn't beaten an Amir Khan. So what's he done at 147? I understand why people throw him right in the mix. Some people are calling him number 1. Some people are calling him number 2 and 3.
Some people think he's pound for pound.
Yeah, people think he's pound for pound. He's moved up in multiple weight classes, something that I'm not able to do. You know what I mean? And certain fighters have the luxury of doing that and have the skill set to keep competing. But 9 out of 10 times you hit a wall, and a lot of times that wall is the welterweight division.
Myself and Terence, if that fight is made, it's going to be made because myself and Terence want that fight made. I'm not calling him out. I respect him. I'm not afraid of him. But I will tell you that he is definitely overlooked in the welterweight division and definitely one of the best fighters out there in the world.
What do you think about his fight against Amir Khan?
I think it's going to be a competitive fight for a couple rounds. And I think Terence is going to take over. Honestly, man, I'm a fan of Terence, and I'm not, not kissing his butt or anything like that. I'm just keeping it real. We've known each other for a while, yada, yada, yada. But when you watch the dude fight, he really is something special. And, it's only a matter of time before he gets a fair shake in this boxing game. I think he's overlooked, underrated. I'm looking forward to that fight. And, any fight he has, again, If him and I fight, it's because him and I decide to fight. Nobody's gonna force him and I to fight.
Terence Crawford and Amir Khan.
I got Crawford. I got Terence Crawford. I think everybody believes that he'll stop Amir Khan. Amir Khan is no pushover though. Amir Khan is, he's quick. Amir Khan still has the speed and everything. The only thing bad about Amir Khan is that when he gets that speed going and everything, he's tagging you and everything. He gets a little too excited to where he puts his head forward, he puts his chin out while he's throwing, and that's how you get clipped. And that's how you get
Garcia and Canelo did to him.
He gets so excited that he puts his chin out first before he throws, and you just clip him. So if Khan can stay composed and not too excited about what he's doing, then it could be a great fight. If Crawford stays composed and let him do all that stuff, just block him and everything, lure him in and catch him, Crawford wins by knockout.
Amir Khan, Terence Crawford.
Yeah.
Terence Crawford.
Yeah, that seems like it'd be a pretty good fight.
Crawford seemed like your kind of fighter, Floyd.
Huh?
Crawford seems like your kind of fighter. You like Terence Crawford, or?
Well, I'm just saying sometimes some fight, it's just like what's coming. I really expect to see some of the stuff that I see. The few things he did in there, I like, cause some of the stuff, a few things he did in there, I have my fighter do some of the things that he did.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about Terence's next fight against Khan? How do you see that fight going?
Terence Crawford against who?
Against Amir Khan?
I don't think. I think that if Terence could get past his arms, I don't think it's gonna be easy that as Terence think, or if he think it's easy. I don't think it's gonna be that easy. But if he catch him right, he put Khan down, out for sure. But Khan, he comes strong for a couple rounds.
A good shot on that fight?
A couple rounds, good couple rounds.
If Crawford doesn't, because a lot of people have knocked out Khan, obviously Danny Garcia, Canelo, kind of the upper echelon in boxing. If Crawford doesn't get a dramatic victory like that, does that count against him almost? Or is Khan kind of a bigger guy? It's kind of a first real welterweight, good quality welterweight, that it's okay?
It don't matter if he just won. I think not. If he just look good winning, that's all. That's all. I don't think if he don't knock him out, he. Everybody not a big puncher, and Khan fought so big people. For Canelo, for top, yeah. So if you don't knock him out, that don't mean nothing. Just look good, fighting.
Terence Crawford, big fight coming up. Amir Khan, Madison Square Garden. What do you think? Are you pleased with that fight?
We're gonna knock his ass out. He gone. It's a wrap, dude. That motherfucker. Hey.
Come on, bro. You're supposed to sell the fight a little bit.
I'm selling the fight, y'all. I'm selling the fight.
You're selling the knockout.
I'm selling him a glass of wine. That's what I'm gonna do. He's gonna get knocked out. It's as simple as that. Wow. Everybody knows he got a glass chin and he's an amateur fighter, and it's gonna show in the fight. It's definitely gonna show.
But usually when Terence fight, it'd be more people talking trash to him. Going to this fight, I don't hear Amir Khan.
Because Amir is not there to win the fight. He's there for mostly probably the business end of it, and trying to raise his profile as probably a promoter, and get buys. He probably got some in off the back end of it, and as far as looking at it like that, just try to get more buys out of Europe or wherever the fuck he's from. Just try to But as I seen him over in London, he didn't even look like he wanted to even be in the fight or even talk about the fight. That's what I see.
Just to get back to Amir Khan real quick, I know you're not concerned. You're talking knockout, so it doesn't sound like there's a big concern about him. But when you are fighting a guy like Amir Khan, a guy that throws a lot of punches the way he does, and is constantly on the retreat like that, is there anything that you guys have to do differently just to prepare for that?
Well, you just got to be more aware. So you got to have you got to think a little faster with this guy than you would do the last guy, because the last guy, he didn't throw a lot of punches. He was kind of slow, flat-footed. But like you say, with Amir Khan, throws a lot of punches, fast feet. So you got to think fast. You got to always to think fast. You got to think on your feet. It's like a fast chess match. So you definitely gonna be prepared for that.
I know the joke is always about his chin. He has a glass jaw and this, that, and the other. But do you actually think that he's got something going on with his jaw? I mean, he has gotten up from a lot of the shots.
Well, it just speaks for itself. His performances, whenever he got knocked out, it just, he got dropped his last fight from a journeyman. So it did the numbers of times he's been, I'm talking about slept. I'm talking about night. So it's that right there speaks for itself. So, he's still dangerous with his speed and his hand speed, his foot speed. But, whatever he brings to the ring is going to be challenging for Terence. That's what Terence wants. He wants those challenges to make him look better.
Does it matter that he's gone back with Virgil Hunter? I mean,
that's good for me, because he said he never lost with Virgil, and I never faced Virgil as a coach before.
That's what I was going to ask you.
So that I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I'm coming for that ass now. For real.
Message for Amir Khan before I get out of here.
What round, Bo Mac? What round? Give me a round. Give me a round, Bo Mac.
Eight. We're going to get out of there early? Oh, eight rounds?
Yeah, but eight
rounds.
Give me eight.
Okay.
Yeah. Give him a little eight, you know what I'm saying?
How do you beat a guy like Crawford, who's on the role he's on right now?
Luck and prayer. Listen, I don't think Kyle would take a fight unless he come into the fight looking to win. Of course, it's a huge mountain to overcome. Not underestimating Terence Crawford's ability and talent at all. He improved it. It's no doubt a tough fight. I accept that. He accepts that. So you make the best preparation you can, and hope it's your night.
Do you think Amir still has the faster hands when he fights Crawford?
I think maybe in combinations he does, but if you narrow it down to one or two punches at a time, I think it could be even across the board. Crawford has great reflexes, great timing, and that's crucial. He reacts quick. So that's definitely an antidote to fast hands. The thing for me, Amir, is to control his combination punching, not overdo it and not underdo it. So that's what we're planning on working on.
How do you prepare for kind of both right-handed and left-handed? The Crawford switches kind of seamlessly. How do you just bring in sparring partners from both sides? Or you just how do you prepare for something like that?
Well, yeah, you bring in. That's the plan, to bring in sparring partners and fight on both sides. Fast, quick sparring partners. And of course, you're not going to be able to simulate Crawford to a team, but you want to give him a feeling to make sure that the fighters are coming in all have speed and follow the script and
You were talking about, like, Crawford has better one or two shot speed, and Khan, when he starts getting combinations going, maybe he's faster. Why is that? Why do some fighters, what's the difference between those kinds of speed? Why are some fighters faster with one or two shots and other guys, they put 5, 6 together faster?
Well, I believe it's how they wire and how they develop and train. Crawford was developed right, he was trained right, but he's got the instincts, the IQ to know when to pull off the shots, not to overdo it, not to underdo it. So he's proven time and time again that his timing is impeccable. And it's a force to be dealt with.
We just talked to Bomac. Bomac said Khan's going to sleep.
Well, of course. I mean, we're gonna say that because we saw what Crawford's been knocking out everybody he's been facing, and we know that Khan doesn't have that chin. You know what I mean? So we should expect that. But Khan's never in a dog fight. He's always in an exciting fight. He comes to fight. He brings the pain. He might be running around the ring, trying to get his legs together, but he's always there, and he's always dangerous. He got good punching power, and he got speed. I think early on, the speed could give Terence Crawford problems. Just the speed alone. But eventually, once he slowed down a bit, 4 or 5, then Crawford will make way, and I think Crawford will catch him eventually and probably in the night.
Is there anything that Amir Khan can do to make it, you know, a little bit more competitive? Is there anything he can work on?
It will be competitive early on. It will be a competitive fight early on. Absolutely. Like the fight will be competitive. The first couple of rounds, it will be competitive due to the speed. I'm telling you, it's the speed of Khan that's gonna make it difficult. He's in and out, you know, throwing combinations. But the timing of Terence Crawford is gonna be the icing on the cake, man. There's timing of Terence Crawford.
How do you deal with you sparred Crawford before,
Yeah.
right? How do you deal with someone who can switch back and forth like that?
It's not even just about the switching, man. This kid IQ is unbelievable. You know, and it's been unbelievable since the first time I had sparred him. You know, I've never been in the ring with anybody like him, ever. You know what I mean? And just so much, he does so much, and it's like you don't have to tell him; he figures it out. You know what I mean? He figures it out. And then it's like I was sparring one day, you know, and then the next day he's completely different. And I'm like, man, like, and he ain't even got a trainer there. So I'm like, this kid is special.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And he can press forward, he can fight backing up, he can fight lefty. I didn't even know he was right-hander. I thought he was a lefty.
Wow.
You know what I mean? That's how good he is. But he can make adjustments on the fly. He's smart. He got good punching power. He goes well to the body. There's nothing that this guy can't do.
Do you think he's starting to get the credit that you've been giving him? No?
Nah. You got to face the top welterweights out there. You know what I mean? He's facing a good name in Amir Khan, which is a name that he needs on his resume. But he got to face the top guys in the division. You know what I mean? Until then, not a lot of people don't give him credit.
Yeah.
They not. You know, that's just it. And especially when you're rising at the top, when you're at the very top, you know, they hated on Jesus, they hated on Mayweather. You know what I'm saying? Mayweather's at the top, they hated on him. You know, it's smart boxer. You know, Terence Crawford is one of those smart boxers.
What's your thoughts on Crawford and Khan that's coming up?
I think Crawford. I think Crawford. It might be Crawford by knockout, to be honest. We know Khan don't really have a chin like that. Crawford just too much of a complete fighter. I think but Khan has a lot of speed, and maybe he can give Crawford a little, maybe not trouble, but he can slow him down at first. And Crawford is a slow starter, so maybe it'll be tactical for the first like maybe 4 or 5 rounds. I feel like Crawford will pick it up on him, then he'll eventually get him out of there.
Now, upcoming fight, Crawford, Khan. Want to get your opinion? Who wins? How? Style?
Hey, man, I always bet on black, baby. Black, he's southpaw in the American fight, and I grew up in Washington, so you know, I mean, don't get me wrong, Khan is a bad boy too, but you know, Terence Crawford, man, he's just at his peak right now.
Look, nobody knows more about that than you can come back than Amir Khan. That fucker's been knocked out, dude. He'll get back up, you train your ass off, and he'll come back with the same level of confidence and balls and just go, yeah.
Do you think Amir Khan could beat Terence Crawford, or?
I do think so.
Really?
Yeah.
Because
it's so funny. You guys make such a bit like it's such a fucking washout game, but you guys bought all into that, into Spence and Mikey, and that's like it was like, you know.
A lot of guys did. A lot of writers did. That's true.
I mean, and now you're really questioning whether or not that Amir Khan can beat Terence Crawford?
Well,
Amir Khan is a guy who starts off the bell. I mean, look at the fight between him and Marcos. Jesus Christ, that was fight of the year.
But Amir's been stopped a few times since
Sure,
that
but he
fight.
hasn't changed his style. Look, he was beating Canelo for the first 4 or 5 rounds of that.
He was.
Even at the time, I tell you, at the time when Terence knocks him out, I bet you Amir Khan has 4 or 5 of the rounds in the bank.
But ultimately,
At the time of stoppage.
Ultimately, though, you think Terence does get him.
Amir's never been the same since he changed his training. Period. He just really hasn't.
What fight was that?
Danny Garcia. Freddie wanted Amir to start focusing on more of the body. That's when Freddie got us out, pretty much. We were in camp for Shane Mosley, and they were just bullshitting around, and Manny just, you know, like underestimated Mosley. He was old, you know. So after the people that Manny had just fucked up, I mean, he disfigured Margarito, so he didn't really think Mosley was really going to be that much, you know. He was an older fighter with a lot of miles on him, so, you know, they didn't take the training as serious. So I came back to train with Julio, that's when I left Manny there for a couple of weeks, and at that time Freddie got upset and tried to get me out with Manny, and then got me out with Amir, and then Amir got knocked out by Danny Garcia. So. I thought that's when things changed. Well, then he got rid of Freddie, and then he went on, and he's just never been the same, you know, that guy that was you know, his hands are just a sick speed.
Yeah.
Styles make fights, and people may say, Eddie, what are you talking about? Khan's a tough fight for Crawford. You know, there's certain styles where Crawford is unbeatable, but Khan is a good style to try and beat Crawford. Crawford, by the way, is immense. One of my favourite fighters, pound for pound. So, but you know, all those guys would happily take an Amir Khan fight, and he still has the pull and the draw and the excitement and the speed to be in those big fights.
How do you break this fight down, firstly?
You're dealing with somebody who's of a superior IQ than another person. So you've got two fighters, and one's had really good success by being the faster guy than everybody else, by biting down his gum shield and throwing those shots, hitting you when you don't see it, like he hit you down, like he go upstairs, then he hit you downstairs like he did with Madonna to drop him. Right, this is something that Floyd Mayweather couldn't do, something that Adrian Broner could never come remotely close to doing against Madonna, and this guy did it. Amir Khan is ridiculously fast. His hands are so fast, he should be a pickpocket. He's got them kind of hands, right? But then sometimes he switches off in fights. And it's that, can he keep that constant focus right throughout 12 rounds, 36 minutes, in with somebody who's arguably the best pound for pound fighter in the world? And the reason why we can say, well, arguably the best pound, because we've never really seen Terence Crawford struggle in fights. We've seen him get caught in fights, but we've never seen him struggle, right? So, and because of that, and the only reason why I'm saying that, because Lomachenko Pedraza recently, and we saw Lomachenko kind of struggle. This is the truth. So, off of the back of that, and also Lomachenko's never been an undisputed world champion. Terence Crawford has. I think because Terence Crawford doesn't come with the razzmatazz and the trash talk and all the rest of it, kind of takes away from his appeal. But it's a good thing. I'm glad that he doesn't. I'm glad he's a classy individual. I'm glad that he's a spiritual person as well, and that's nice. And this fight's about levels. Amir Khan he's a really, really good fighter. But your hand speed has been the key for so many times. But now you're getting older. You're not a 19-year-old kid no more, right? Now you're 32. So you got to think within that duration of time. That's a lot of time that's gone by now. Really, and because of that lot of time, 13 years, you are going to decline a little piece. But he's still good enough to give him a rumble, and a true rumble. But it's down to him being Amir Khan is a very, very good boxer. But he's not got the intellect, I don't believe, to deal with a Terence Crawford. And this is not me downplaying anything at Amir Khan. But you're saying you've gone round, Raz, and you've spoken to people, and no one's not giving him a chance. But I think this fight's a lot closer than people will find out because of the hand speed that he has got and his experience. But his experience doesn't equate to IQ, but his experience of knowing that I've been in big fights, so I'm going to be cool.
Him going back to Verge, good move?
Excellent move. Virgil Hunter is one of the most underrated trainers in the world today, because now everyone has got an internet opinion, right? But if you follow the lineage of the guy was on the US Olympic team from way back in the day. You go speak to trainers who I respect highly, like Kenny Porter. They salute. Kenny Porter, Sean Porter's father, these guys salute Virgil. Like Virgil knows the thing. So what unfortunately now is because everybody has an opinion, and everybody thinks, well, their opinion is more valid than somebody else, or it's we find it so difficult to write anything nice about anyone. Everything we got, this guy, what is it? No, he must know something. So it's an excellent move for Amir Khan to go back to Virgil Hunter, but I don't know if Amir Khan will be as disciplined enough to listen to the instructions getting through the fight. But it's going to be a great fight.
My breakdown against Crawford against Amir Khan. Crawford. I'm sorry. I didn't take long saying that because and Amir Khan is a dear friend of mine. He's your friend? Yeah, he's a dear friend of mine. He's a good fighter. He's I think he is in the stages like I am in my career, which is we're in the last fights, that we're picking and choosing fights that make sense for us. And I feel like for him, in his mind, he feels like this is a fight that it's either make or break. Either he pulls it off, he gets a major win against Terence Crawford, which is, you could say, almost impossible, but not impossible. Like I said, anything can happen in boxing. But he is there, where he could get that win and be at the top again. You never know. Or he loses and he gets a great payday, and he went up against, the best, which I respect. I respect any fighter that goes in the ring and faces the best, regardless if you're an underdog. It doesn't matter. I mean, if you step in the ring against a fighter like Crawford or any of the top dogs, I mean, my respects.
Crawford Khan?
Yes.
I think Crawford wins. I think everybody thinks Crawford's gonna win. I think it's not a prime Khan, so it's not gonna be a fight that people can expect. To a fight like that, man.
So you think
Crawford wins.
Crawford wins? Knockout?
Khan is a cool guy, good fighter. He's a good fighter. Got speed, hand speed, movement. But he just, unfortunately, he doesn't have, I think, the chin anymore. He doesn't have the same. He's not in his prime. He's not in his prime. That's the reality. It's not in his prime. I mean, he could still do a good fight if he boxes, uses speed, make it very difficult for Crawford to land. But Crawford is a great fighter. He's got height, reach, left-handed, right-handed. I mean, he's got all the tools.
That'll be his fight, Of course, we're going to want him to dominate the best he can dominate, whether that means dropping one time or 3 times, or just outbox a boxer. As an undefeated world champion, we obviously expect him to win, And if he wants to get my respect, he's gonna have to do something in that ring, And I respect everything that he's doing. He's got a great contract over there with ESPN. I think it's a great fight for him at 147. I still think there's more major fighters for him to get in the ring up against. But we're still in our prime. We're still young enough that we don't have to rush into it. So I applaud him for strategically attacking the welterweight division. I mean, because he can be a champion of Jeff Horn and in the first place. So it just is what it is, man.
Even if you are your best, one punch can change your life. So you increase the risk if you're not in tip-top shape, if you're not fully focused. So I don't understand that. But I think Amir's going to take it serious. I know Verge is not going to accept anything less. Bomac and Terence and his team, they're going to be ready, and may the best man win.
Bomac said he's going to sleep in 8.
I saw that. Seen that. And that's what he's supposed to say.
Right.
That's what he's supposed to say. That's what he's supposed to say. So we'll see.
I have always been an Amir Khan fan. And I say this without, not because I'm promoting him in this fight, but I remember back in the day, years and years ago, when Amir Khan joined Manny Pacquiao in his camp and was a tremendously skillful sparring partner. Amir knows we were, I think, in the Philippines. He participated in that camp. And so I know a little bit about boxing. I'm not one of the matchmakers who really are tremendously skilled, but I've been around over 50 years in this sport, and I know what makes a good fight and what's a competitive fight. And I'm telling you that Amir Khan against Terence Crawford is a hugely competitive fight. Styles make fights, and this is the first pay-per-view event that we're doing with ESPN, and we value tremendously our relationship to ESPN, and I want going in and at the fight, so going out, everybody to say, hey, this was a great, great fight. And I really believe that the fight will be a tremendously interesting, competitive fight. And that's why we made it. That is the truth. That is why we made it. There are other fighters that, other welterweights who are coming along and may one day step up and fight for a welterweight champion. I'm sure they will, like the Eastern Europeans, Disputin and Kavaleskis. But this fight instinctively, I knew, and my matchmakers agreed, was a very, very competitive fight. I mean, you have to understand there are very few fighters who have the boxing skills of Amir Khan. Very, very few. So I look at this as a very competitive fight.